Good evening and welcome. My name is Erica Crouch, Community Engagement and Outreach Coordinator for Baltimore County Executive Kathy Klausmeier. Thank you. Good evening and welcome, everyone. My name is Erica. I'm with the County Executive's Office of Community Engagement. Before we get started tonight, the County Executive requests that we stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the Thank you. It's a pleasure to welcome you here to our 7th and final event of this year's Budget Town Hall series. Having an open and honest conversation with the people of Baltimore County about your budget priorities only strengthens our commitment to the accessible and responsive government that our residents expect and deserve. We strive to build a better Baltimore County together by focusing on sustainable and equitable opportunities for all. And we are proud to continue to hold these events with residents and stakeholders, as our community's needs are an essential part of the budget process. At this time, I would like to acknowledge and thank Director Bob Smith and the entire staff of Sollers Point Multipurpose Center for hosting this evening's event. Tonight, we begin our fiscal year 2026 budget discussion here in District 7, hosted by your County Executive, Kathy Klausmeier. We will start off the evening with a welcome from the County Executive, along with a few words about projects in District 7, and a budget presentation from Kevin Reed, Director of Budget and Finance. After Director Reed's presentation, residents and stakeholders will have an opportunity to share your budget-related priorities with an allotted time of 90 seconds here at the microphone in the front. The County Executive, department heads will listen to your requests, concerns, and ideas. If you share a concern or issue that needs further attention, we will have a coordinator from the Office of Community Engagement or designated department representative follow up with you. Tonight's town hall will conclude at 8 o'clock sharp. Those who are unable to provide testimony can do so by submitting your request via email at townhall@baltimorecountymd.gov. If you have come with a group tonight, we kindly ask that you designate one person to share your group's priority. Group members are encouraged to stand in support when your priority is being shared. If you have already heard your budget priority shared tonight, we ask that you defer your time so we can hear as many priorities as possible. And now it is my honor to welcome our County Executive, Kathy Klausmeier.
I was unable to hear in the back quite when my cue was, so here I am. And I see very many of my friends here. Hi, Mr. Bob. Can't ever forget you. Change glasses. And good evening. And I would just like to let everyone know that Senator Salling is here. Stand up and show everybody who you are. And I miss working with him in Annapolis. We all work together very, very well. Delegate Metzger. And Doug Anderson, who is representing Todd Crandell. And I think there's one more person there. Oh, it could be Councilman Julian Jones. And I just like to introduce them because I just want to show how we all work together and how it's so important to be able to work together. And we do that very well, both Democrat and Republican. That's kind of like a new thing, but we've been doing it for a long, long time. So thank you guys for coming. So good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. I want to acknowledge Doug Anderson, who I have, who is representing Councilman Crandell, and Kayla Williams, who is representing Governor Moore this evening. Where's Kayla? Stand up, Kayla. We were here yesterday to have a roundtable talking about the things that happened yesterday on the 26th of March and how they have affected the community and the business community. So I also want to thank Solars Point Multipurpose Center for allowing us to use this beautiful space this evening. And I'm proud to be joined by our administrative officer, DeAndrea Walker. Stand up, DeAndrea. As well as our county departments, almost all of whom are represented by the director or deputy. Most of all, thank you to everyone who made the time to join us this evening. So, but I would like the directors and the deputies of the departments to please stand. And they will be here this evening as time goes on, but I want to ask, the reason I asked them to stand up is because they have helped me every step of the way in my 2 months of being county executive. And they have been so helpful, and I am so proud of each and every one of them. And thank you. Before we talk about how our budget works, I'd like to take a moment to remember the victims of the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse last year. Our region was devastated by this disaster, and just 1 year later, we're still recovering. We were proud to stand with our communities yesterday during the anniversary of this collapse, and will continue to keep the victims and everyone affected by this disaster in our prayers. I'd like to ask you all to join in with me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Now I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about the historic investments we've made across Baltimore County, especially here in District 7. The most important investments we can make are in our schools and the future of our children. We have delivered over $135 million for improvements to 19 schools, including over $46 million for a significant addition at the Dundalk High School, more than $26 million to replace 5 school roofs across the district, and $25 million for the needed mechanical upgrades at Battle Monument Elementary and Chesapeake High Schools. In addition, we're continuing to support learners of all ages with $7 million for a new library serving our Essex and Middlesex communities. We are also continuing to invest in new efforts and programs that keep our communities and residents safe. We've delivered more than $13.6 million, $5 million to improve the Sparrows Point Fire Academy, as well as $4.6 million to renovate and upgrade the Essex Police and Fire stations. These enhancements will ensure that our first responders have the resources and facilities to continue protecting communities and saving lives. We know that every resident deserves access to life-changing recreation opportunities, parks, and open spaces where they can have fun and enjoy our county's scenic beauty. We have delivered more than $32 million to improve parks, playgrounds, nature centers, and much more across District 7. That includes more than $25 million for a recreation facility at our new Sparrows Point Park, the first new major park in southeast Baltimore County. Did anybody get there last week for the ribbon cutting? It's beautiful. It's the first one in more than 20 years, which we were proud to officially open last week. We've also delivered over $1.4 million to improve Rosedale Park, over $1 million to renovate Stansbury Park, over $1 million to restore the Rocky Point Park walking path, and more than $2.6 million to improve baseball diamonds, basketball courts, athletic fields, playgrounds, one and only pickleball courts, and much more. Vibrant and well-connected communities ensure that every resident can access the resources they need and take pride in their neighborhood. Here in District 7, we provided over $1 million to revitalize our communities, including more than $660,000 for the Essex Community Development Corporation, with over $10,000 for painted flower boxes throughout our commercial area, as well as $100,000 for Sparrows Point North Point Historical Society in support of their Veterans Memorial Project. We're also proud to have delivered $15,000 for the Heritage Association of Dundalk, $10,000 for the Turner Station conservation teams, and funding to improve building facade, hang banners, and establish public art in District 7. I also want to add that we're working with CCBC to create a new workforce training program, and I think this is very important. It's a new workforce training program to help residents develop their skills and find good jobs. We're working right now to add this program to our upcoming budget to improve our workforce, especially in the wake of the Key Bridge collapse. Lastly, we want to continue to do everything we can to support and champion our workforce. Baltimore County is home to 13,000 federal civilian jobs with numerous federal work establishments, contractors, and nonprofit groups who rely on federal funds. For any federal employee, civil servant, contractor, or employer who has recently been affected by decisions at the federal level, Baltimore County is here to support you with job opportunities, workshops, and resources for housing, food, child care, and more. You can scan the code, follow the link on our slide for more information, or visit one of our representatives to learn more about these resources. We are continuing to invest in District 7 communities and across Baltimore County. However, we are also entering an uncertain budget season with looming cuts at the state level and new federal administration. This uncertainty means that we're facing challenges to continue funding ongoing programs and new initiatives. We're proud of what we've delivered, but we want to continue painting a realistic picture of the challenges we are facing and the difficult decisions we will need to make. We are committed to working with all of our partners, our department directors, and leaders like Councilman Crandell to present a balanced budget and continue investing in our county's future. With that in mind, we're still facing uncertain times. Now, I would like to welcome Kevin Reed from the Office of Budget and Finance to show us how we build our budget. And I am looking for him, and I am going to say, here's Kevin. You want to stand here? And I have to. Take it away.
Thank you, Madam County Executive. Another hand for the County Executive, please, if we will. She's really keeping us in line, been doing great. These only been here, I'm sure she knows the amount of days that she's been here, but we are working through all the great stuff that we have coming up. But with that, let's just get right into it before we start talking about some of the challenges that we're having as we wrap up this budget. So I want to talk budget basics 101, kind of local government. We have an operating budget. It's a $4.6 billion operating program, and about half of that funding comes from real and property taxes and income taxes that we collect from our residents. I do want to call special attention to the 9% up in the upper left-hand corner is federal funding. That's about $400 million to Baltimore County, the public school system, and the Community College of Baltimore County. And that's what we're really kind of lasered in and focused on and concerned about right now, ensuring that we do get reimbursed this fiscal year for the money that we have put out and balanced in this budget, and then how we're going to move forward. Over half of every local dollar goes to our public school system, and then followed by on other expenditures, we have mandatory money for pensions and debt service and insurance that we all pay and the like. Our capital budget is a $3.13 billion 6-year capital program, and half the funding that comes in are from user fees for our water and sewer system, and equally, you'll notice that's our metropolitan district, and that is the fees that we pay on our tax bills, and the equal amount comes out of that budget on the right side. You see in expenditures, and that's called the Metropolitan District Self-Sustaining Fund. Our revenue is about a little under 40% in general obligation bonds, and these are funding like a mortgage that we borrow for one-time capital projects. And then a small component for this year, a little under 7%, is cash that we put into our capital budget on the revenue side, and that's called pay-as-you-go funding. And our goal is always, if we have one-time revenues, to maximize the amount of cash that we put into the capital budget so we can lessen the general obligation bonds and the money that we borrow. So again, if you look at over the expenditure side, we're building we're building some new schools, and we have some new schools in the pipeline and some major maintenance. Over a quarter of that money does go to our public school system. We were fortunate in FY '22 to receive $161 million in our American Rescue Plan funding, and that was federal funding to assist us with the pandemic, both from a public health standpoint and from an economic development standpoint. We are proud that we have fully obligated 100% of that funding at this time, and that was the deadline that it was imposed with the bill, and that was booked as of December 31st of 2024. We now have 2 years to continue to fully build out and continue and finish those projects and to spend that cash down. But at this time, that amount is fully obligated. When we talk about the foundations of building the budget, these are 5 really important key points that we work through. We must have a balanced budget, like the state. We try to retain a rainy day fund minimum amount of 10%, and that's important to buffer us against unexpected events. We have a spending affordability guideline that we'll talk about in a minute. And we're here tonight, we're listening to the community members, to you, to hear your needs and priorities, and things that are important to the community as we build the budget. And then finally, financial sustainability. Are the decisions that we're making today, are they sustainable in the long term? So I did mention spending affordability very briefly, and that is a committee formed by the county council that puts a spending guideline on our operating budget so that our operating budget doesn't grow faster than the economy. So in short, for an example, in FY25, the current fiscal year that we're in, that began July 1, we were allowed a 4.3% growth rate. And that equated to $118 million. And that sounds like a lot of money. But again, we have a $4.6 billion operating budget. So as an example, this is kind of a breakdown percentage-wise of where that funding went to. Over a quarter of it went to BCPS. We had our mandatory salary increases for our hardworking public safety professionals and other county employees. Our retiree benefits and other contractual increases have also grown. We had a little under 27% for other growth, and these are some of the initiatives that funding went to that were funded in this FY25 budget. So as we talk about challenges ahead, as Madam County Executive mentioned, that we do have a new federal administration. There's day-by-day changes on things that are coming down through that. And as far as the federal funding that I mentioned, that we are always monitoring. The county executive formed a work group that we meet weekly, and we are trying to stay on top of operational and budgetary changes as they come through via executive orders. We have a new an uncertain state budget. As you know, the state has a $3.3 billion budget that they are working to close as they begin finalizing their FY26 budget. We do know that there will be costs passed down to the counties in the form of teacher pension retirement costs and community college employee retirement costs. We mentioned the ARPA funding. We have our required increases for employee and retiree health care. Those are almost double-digit increases every year that we have to account for. And we talked about the spending affordability guideline, that we really can't exceed the limit that is put on by the Spending Affordability Committee. And that's on the operating side. On the capital side, we have, if anyone has done a renovation lately in their home, they understand that the impact of inflation in our labor market, materials and human capital is more expensive than ever. We've seen about a 20% increase since 2016, and we're cautiously monitoring future developments from the federal government as they come down on those commodities that will continue to potentially rise in cost. So keeping these existing capital projects on schedule and on time is going to remain a challenge. And at this point, we really have reached our maximum borrowing limits. Again, I talked about bonds briefly, and that's the amount that we borrow for one-time capital projects. At this point, we really have exhausted the maximum amount that we can borrow. So this slide outlines where we are as far as our operating budget as we try to close the gap for FY26. If you notice on the right, at this time between spending affordability and the allowable revenues that we estimate we have about $127 million in general fund growth. But if you look at the bar on the left side, those are the requests that have come in from the various agencies. So we are $189 million in requests. 65 of that are really the mandatory costs that we have to fund. We have to fund increases for insurance, the repayment of debt that we borrow, as well as our personnel costs, and that's something that we really owe to our county employees and those involved. So this is a challenge that we're working up against, and we are working to continually finalize in the next few weeks. On the capital side, we have about $300 million in needs, and again, we mentioned that we have a cadre of old buildings. We have an aging school system, and these all are requiring hefty maintenance costs to continue to keep up with ongoing and deferred maintenance. We have infinite number of roads and infrastructure projects for resurfacing and repaving that we need, as well as some critical public safety infrastructure initiatives that we have coming up that we need to fund. So all told, when you look at the 6-year capital program, we're talking about $3 billion, in needs and ongoing needs. So we know on July 1, we will submit a balanced budget. We will end June 30 with a balanced budget. We will make adjustments as needed throughout the year to do that, and we will work with our legislative partners to achieve that, County Council. We are committed to maintaining our AAA bond rating, and we were most recently reaffirmed a few weeks ago for the AAA, and that's important because it allows us to borrow money when we do for one-time projects at the lowest possible interest rate. It's like having great credit. And we are one of 2% of counties in the country that have this AAA rating from all 3 major rating agencies. So it's something that we try to formulate budgets to continue to keep this rating. And we're prepared to make tough decisions in this uncertain climate and to be able to react and adjust as needed. So when we talk about our timeline, we're wrapping up this is the last town hall. Thank you all for being here for the historic last town hall of 25. And the county executive will submit her budget to the county council on April 11th. During that time, in April and May, the county council will have public hearings on agencies and will also make adjustments to the budget. And then the council will adopt the budget at the end of May for our beginning of the fiscal year on July 1. So we look forward to hearing from all of you, and if you have further questions, we're happy to take them. And at this time, I'll turn it back over to the Office of Community Engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam County Executive and Kevin Reed, for those instructions. It is now time for you to present your priorities to the County Executive. Oh, wow. Each person will have 90 seconds to speak. If you have already heard your budget priority given, please defer to someone who has not had an opportunity to speak. Each person who has their 90 seconds can be supported by others in the group who can stand when they're giving their presentation. If you have heard your priority and you have not had an opportunity to speak, you can still contact the county executive at Town Hall at baltimorecounty.gov. Thank you.
Responses. Each time we meet an average of 4 people, sometimes the whole community. When this includes community events, we will likely meet every county resident over the course of 1 year. We are the human faces your constituents see in their homes on the worst day of their life with the sole goal to make things better. The elected representatives of Baltimore County need these meet and greets to be as positive as possible as they reflect on your performance of government. Volunteer EMS companies are expected to provide quality ambulance services for just $35 an hour. The true cost of EMS response is $67 an hour, almost twice the rate the county is willing to pay. The results are volunteer companies are taking money from their savings to provide these services, or they're simply not able to staff the unit. 10 years ago, the volunteer company signed a contract authorizing Baltimore County to bill for transports. In return, Baltimore County agreed to cover all reasonable expenses. EMS billing has produced $40 million in revenue for Baltimore County, and they're still not covering the reasonable expenses. It's time for you to do the right thing. It's not like the funding is not there. The funding increases will restore fiscal solvency and increase the number of units available staffed. This will decrease the time it takes for our citizens to get critical life-saving care they need. We're asking you to take these people's lives seriously. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Christina Bassetti. I'm the manager at Baltimore County Public Schools Facility Support Services and also the president of Baltimore County Public School OPE, Organization for Professional Employees Union. Representatives from my union, along with other unions, have worked tirelessly with the board team to negotiate a fair and equitable salary scale. Over the past few years, it has been very difficult to staff positions, especially in facilities maintenance, grounds, operations, custodial. A competitive salary scale helps us recruit and retain employees who play critical roles in maintaining safe and operable facilities for our children and community. Just today, Montgomery County Schools announced that effective July 1st, 2025, the minimum wage for all staff in Montgomery County Schools will be no less than $20 an hour. BCPS wages are not competitive with industry standards and the private sector, and this funding can help to address these disparities. This funding also ensures we are providing the needed maintenance for our aging infrastructure. Neglecting aging systems jeopardize the longevity of our buildings and quality of learning environment. I urge you to fund the fiscal year FY26 BCPS budget after the difficult years of COVID and ransomware attack. Funding critical initiatives and projects will help ensure a safe and supportive educational environment for the children of Baltimore County. Thanks.
My name is Shirley Gregory. I am with the St. Helena Community Association. First off, I'd like to ask about the Wags Dog Park. The gates have been broken now for quite a while. Somebody finally came out and repaired one, but the other one's still broke. A couple of people have gotten locked on the inside of the gate and cannot get out. The other thing is the trash is overflowing at the dog park, and they need to update the gate code to change it because it seems like everyone has the new code. The other thing is I wanted to ask about the Road to Nowhere, the Heritage Trail, to get an update. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the address 1889 August Avenue, Code Enforcement Code CC 2501105, is a house and is being used for a construction zone in the backyard. And then the last thing, it has to do with Essex. I personally went through every single home on Holly Neck Road to get speed humps put on that road. And we were approved for speed humps back in April of 2024. And then in May of 2024, the speed humps were put on hold because of a lawyer that lives at the very end of the road doesn't want to go over speed humps to get to her house. And I just don't think that's fair when I went to every single place and we had over 89% of the road's approval for these speed humps. And yet, everyone else's speed humps are going in, and this one is not.
So, ma'am, thank you for coming out.
Yep.
We'll leave the lawyer jokes at the door, I guess. But what we will do is we have Director Buckler with DPWT who can talk about traffic calming. We do have Director Smith for Rec and Parks that can also discuss the park situation.
Okay.
So if you want to talk to them, they are here. Mm-hmm.
Good evening. I'm Leah Bittinger, President of Sussex Community Association, located in Essex, Maryland. I'm also running nonprofit rescue, animal rescue. So I'm here to advocate strongly for the funding to continue the design and construction of the new Essex Library. I want to keep the Essex Police Precinct in the forefront for their renovations because they need it. I think they're the second oldest precinct, so we want to make sure that they don't fall off the radar. Dredging of local waterways. We've not seen this happen since the 90s, and the current conditions jeopardize many residents and access for many residents and businesses. Additional funding for county inspectors for building and code inspections. We need more. We need to become more proactive as opposed to reactive. And additional legal support staff for enforcement of permits, approvals, and inspections. We need more than one attorney to prosecute code cases. And then I want to speak on Baltimore County Animal Services. They have been in turmoil for the past several years because of what we call the pandemic dogs. These are dogs that were gotten during the pandemic. People never socialized them, never taught them anything, never taught them to be home alone. All of a sudden, people are back to work. All these dogs are being dumped at the shelters. Rescues like myself are doing our darndest to save them, and we can't do it. The staff is overwhelmed. They're overworked. They need funding. They need people to realize that this is a crisis. We are killing healthy animals, and that's not fair. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam County Executive, Mr. Director. Kevin McDonough on behalf of the Rockaway Beach Improvement Association in Essex. A few budget asks from our community. First is one we've done for a couple years and requested but haven't gained much traction on, which is the allocation of funds for the conversion of an existing horse trail system to a hiking, biking, and walking trail at Pottery Farm Park, Sioux Creek Park, Barrenshire Manor Park, and Turkey Point Park. That system would link all of those parks together. Funding for continued design, as Leah had said, for the new Essex Library, funding for renovations or continued renovations at the police precinct, additional medic unit and fire unit at the Back River Medic Center, dredging of our local waterways. As a waterfront community, that's something that's very important to us and a lot of our residents have concerns about, particularly our marinas and businesses that are on the water. Additional funding for land preservation, parkland acquisitions, and coastal rural legacy. I know there's been some efforts at the state level to kind of tighten the purse strings a little bit, but I think it's important that we as the county continue to invest in those priorities. And then again, as Ms. Bittinger said, additional county inspectors for building and code and additional legal support staff for the enforcement arm of PAI. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam County Executive and Director. This is Sharonda Huffman. I live in Essex, Maryland. And I'm just going to keep it quick, get to the point. Okay, so I do think we need to revisit a regional water authority. So I would like us to have some funding to do a study. I also think there should be funding for a comprehensive study on the environmental effects of the ERDL. Decisions regarding developmental factors should not be based on theories. I also think you should fully fund a fair election fund because I kind of make people mad, so I get you'll probably get more people running. Also, you should hire more in-house counsel to defend decisions made by the council. If you spend $1 million on defending a map, you probably can hire somebody who has that experience to work inside the council. We are in the heart of disinvestment in this area, and I just want to make sure we have funding to deal with the flooding issues in Turner Station. You have also spent $7 million on the Essex Branch Library, and I'd love to have a Middlesex library, but I want you to look at the AMI, the area medium income of the Essex people, and they need those resources. So if it's a thing between Essex and Middle River, Essex should win. To be honest, I sent an email with some of these decisions, but thank you very much for your time.
Good evening. My name's Scott Holopka. 25 years ago, Baltimore County brought community leaders together here in Dundalk to imagine a new Dundalk. That activity led to the creation of the Dundalk Renaissance Corporation, the county's first, until recently, only CDC. Over the next 2 decades, the DRC financed home renovations and purchases, sponsored community events, and supported new and existing businesses, bringing in millions of additional resources. Unfortunately, due to mismanagement and insufficient oversight, the DRC has ceased operations and is in the process of liquidating its assets. But even though the DRC is disappearing, the needs of our community are still here. That's why I was happy when community leaders, new and old, many of whom hopefully are standing up, stepped forward to agree to create a new community development organization for the greater Dundalk area. Hopefully, this new organization will be able to address continuing and new challenges facing our community, from here in Turner Station to the other neighborhoods in our community. But just like 25 years ago, we will need county support to make this new organization a reality. That's why I'm here tonight to urge you to allocate $150,000 in seed funding to allow us to hire an executive director, rent space, and do what is needed to create a new Greater Dundalk Community CDC. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Lisa Harlow. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Directors of the Essex CDC, and I'm also the President of the Heritage Society of Essex and Middle River, and I am here to talk about Renaissance Park. Renaissance Park in Essex has become more than just a green space for us. It's an incredible asset to the community. Over the past few years, community groups have worked to establish the park as a vibrant gathering space. We, as the Essex CDC, have hosted meaningful events there that celebrate our community's resilience and diversity. From Family Fun Day, honoring the ILA 333 families impacted by the Francis Scott Key Bridge tragedy, to our first annual Essex Latino Festival, we have demonstrated the park's power to bring people together. Today, we come before you with a vision to elevate Renaissance Park's potential. Imagine an outdoor amphitheater to showcase local music, modern, strategically located restrooms, well-lit, safe pathways, robust electrical infrastructure for performances and events, dedicated areas for local food trucks, and designated spaces for public art that will tell our community's unique story. We come here today requesting not just improvements, we're proposing continued investment in Essex. We also stand in solidarity with the Chesapeake Gateway Chamber of Commerce in support of additional amenities for Essex Field at Renaissance Park. We believe that such improvements to both the park and the field will help create opportunities for joy, community growth in Essex. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Natalie Avalone, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the Teachers Association of Baltimore County. I represent them as a board member for District 3, which is the southeast area. I'm also a 26-year teacher at Patapsco High School and a parent of a senior there, and I'm here to share our concerns. TAPCO's primary concern in this budget cycle is making sure that the second year of our 3-year negotiated agreement is fully funded, a historic agreement that many of our councilmen and county members bragged about achieving. We know there is a lot of uncertainty this year with cuts to state public education funding and potential changes to revenue due to the upheaval that we're seeing in the federal government. Our students and we, their educators, deserve the stability and predictability that funding the second year of our negotiated agreement provides. We must continue to recruit and retain great educators to make BCPS a world-class school system serving over 100,000 students and over 150 schools. We must continue. One critical way to do that is to pay our educators properly, to recognize their loyalty and seniority, and to make sure that agreements that have been made are adhered to. TAPCO calls for the Baltimore County funding authorities to work together with the school system to fully fund the second year of our negotiated wage package. We simply ask that you keep your promise to teachers. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Sharon Keene, again, president of the Chesapeake Gateway Chamber of Commerce. I'm here with my good friend Barbara Madka. We both serve on the Essex Community Development Corporation Board, and he's on the Chamber Board as well. The Chamber's been fortunate over the last 7 years to be involved in the revitalization of the business corridor in Essex. We wish to sincerely thank the County Executive's Office, the County Council, and the Planning Department for providing the Chamber with seed money to incubate the Essex CDC and extend that support for at least another 2 years, now that the CDC is on its own. The organization, under the leadership of Chrissy Erb, is making significant progress and continues to have the Chamber's full support. Secondly, referring to what Lisa was talking about, a huge thank you goes to the CE's office and Rec and Parks for their support in completing the fantastic new turf field in Renaissance Park. There are a few matters we're still working to resolve with the field, but we're also turning our attention to additional ways to enhance Renaissance Park. I believe others are going into more detail, but we'd like to see improvements to make the baseball diamond and other features added to the park. We understand we're not looking to Baltimore County for all of the funding for these amenities. We are, however, eager to begin the process with Director Smith and the Rec and Parks Board to determine appropriate additions and improvements based on community feedback and knowing what's possible. Lastly, I'll briefly mention that the Chamber is excited that the county has purchased property for new Essex Library, and we hope that funding will be made a priority. Thank you for your continued support.
Greetings. My name is Richard, and I'm a new resident here to Turner Station. One of the things that I wanted to bring to the forefront during the budget town hall is the surge of energy prices going on with Baltimore Gas and Electric. Recently, Baltimore Gas and Electric has been raising prices in the name of infrastructure, and I wanted to bring this up to see if there's any energy assistance programs that we could be investing in, but more importantly, investing in campaigns to join forces, to join voices in the local conversation to help put us a halt on rising, surging BGE prices. So.
Sorry, we do have some energy assistance programs. Mark Millspaw is with our Department of Social Services that we do have utility prevention shutoffs and things like that that you could loop up with that for assistance to the communities.
It'd be great to still see county support to put a halt, to say something and to put a halt as far as the surging prices for Baltimore Gas and Electric. But yes.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Harris, and I represent the district on the Baltimore County Commission for Veterans Affairs. I served 27 years, retiring from the Maryland Air National Guard in 2013. This appointment is very important to me, as I not only grew up in this area, but am afforded a great opportunity to continue to serve alongside and in support of the over 42,000 veterans that call Baltimore County home. The commission restarted in 2023. Our mission is to advocate for veterans and their families. We are using education and outreach to connect our veterans with the many resources available. This year, I'm asking for your continued support of our crisis intercept map implementation, which will help create routes for our governmental and external partners to support veterans in crisis. Support for Veterans Treatment Court. This supports our veteran community suffering with post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injuries, to navigate the legal system with emphasis on treatment. We're also in the planning stages of our 3rd annual Veterans Day celebration and resource fair, which we hold at Towson University. We hope to have continued funding as well as a small stipend to help with our out-of-pocket costs. We want to improve the lives of veterans and their families, not only in this district, but across the country. So thank you for your continued support for our commission, veterans and their families we serve, and also to any veterans that are here tonight, thank you for your service.
You're on the commission.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Currently,
and I
of the
represent this
Baltimore
district.
County,
Mhm.
so
Yes,
thank you.
ma'am.
Are there any other veterans here today? If you're here, please stand up. Thank you. Okay.
All right. My name's Chrissy Erb. I'm the Executive Director of Essex CDC. I'm here with Bob Ramadka, Sam Weaver on our board. We are here to say thank you for the financial support that you've provided to our organization and to Essex. As you may know, we engage on a regular basis with business owners, property owners, entrepreneurs, community leaders, providing access to funding and incentive programs aimed at improving Essex businesses. We also host a variety of events. We talked about Renaissance Park. We have monthly networking events, all sorts of fun things that we're able to do to bring the community together because of your support. Perhaps our most significant accomplishment to date is the establishment of our brick and mortar office in Essex, located on Eastern Boulevard. For years, members of our group have worked to improve the area, but did so without an official location in Essex that we could call home. Having our own office location has allowed us to put down roots and begin to grow, and we have begun to grow. We are excited to support fundraising efforts for the new Essex Library, as some other folks have shared. This is a vital asset that will serve as a community hub, a gathering place, and it will take Essex to the next level. We know that this type of project takes a great deal of time and financial resources. Your commitment to prioritizing funding for the construction of the library is essential, and we would like to help with that. Essex CDC thanks you for your support, and we look forward to working together. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Andrew, and I'm a volunteer firefighter at Essex. But more importantly, I grew up here in District 7. Now, when I say I grew up here, I mean I grew up. I went to Deep Creek Elementary. I remember when Rink Bingo was right before the Essex Bridge, the Back River Bridge. I really miss Shay's breakfast. I grew up down here, and that's kind of the reason I'm here. If you notice, I'm off script tonight. You've seen me a few times. But I'm here to talk about the failures of Baltimore County for the volunteer fire departments. I've been down in Essex. I've been a volunteer for more than 15 years. And to tell you that we're in a dismal state right now is an understatement. We're running fire engines that are more than 30 years old, with brakes that really don't work that well and pumps that are leaking. We have firehouses that have roofs that I've walked on where I have to walk the ridge line so that I don't fall through the roof. I'd like to make an invitation to you tonight, a little different than I've done in the past. I'd like to invite both of you down to the Essex Volunteer Fire Company to come see how we're saving you more than $120 million a year in this county in payroll staffing for career departments. I'd like each of you to come down and see the condition of our 1942 building, the original building that we still staff out of. If I can tell you tonight in this room, if you take anything home, take this home, please. If you leave here tonight and you go home and one of your loved ones has a medical emergency, the state of the fire and EMS service in this county, as someone who's running it, I'm going to tell you, is so dismal that I'm not sure someone's coming in time. We need help.
Good evening. I'm Francis Seaman Sr. I represent only myself for Ideas for the Community. We have to cut giveaway programs and reevaluate them every year. Property tax, one fee for all. Businesses, homeowners, including apartments per unit, must pay no matter the size of the house. Sewer bill must be based on the amount that it costs to treat the matter going into the treatment plant from the county per the amount of gallons metered. The cost maintaining the pumps, stations, maintenance, new service rendered where needed. You pay every quarter one price, not from your water bill usage, as it is done today. No money goes into the general fund. The city must pay per the same for treating their matter coming per gallons to the county usage. A trash wheel put on Herring Run and Morris Run, where it empties into Back River to catch all trees coming downstream. Dredge Back River to what it was back in 1940 from Herring Run, which it turns into Morris Run stream that changes in the county line. Dredge all the way to the Chesapeake Bay, remove swamp area, and eliminate areas where the midgets breed and live from the east shoreline to the west shoreline. A lot of foreign matter is stirred up from the sewage plant, etc. Wind causes the water to be contaminated as well as the boats. People cannot swim in the water, and I have more to present myself. And a letter of this nature, of the other things I have, will go to the Sun Paper, the Dundalk Eagle, and it will go to our local politicians for the matter. Thank you, and I thank you for the extra time.
Good evening, Madam County Executive. I'd like to thank you and our elected officials and our public officials tonight for this opportunity. My name is Nathan Barbo, and I have the privilege of serving as the treasurer at the Essex Community Development Corporation, and I also get to serve as the Senior Vice President of Operations at MedStar Franklin Square Medical Center, where I got to see many of you recently for your incredible engagement and support of our Women's Pavilion, so thank you. Tonight, I'd like to mention a couple quick things on public safety and awareness and a couple critical programs, especially looking at Eastern Boulevard, which has unfortunately become a dangerous thoroughfare as we look at pedestrian and vehicle safety. And so our group has engaged through Essex CDC to purchase speed cameras, which would provide a very visible, tangible way of alerting drivers to their speed. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to install them yet, so we're looking for help and support with permitting and installation from this crew moving forward. Be happy to provide additional details on that, and we thank you for your support. Additionally, I'd like to give Chief McCullough, and especially our Essex Precinct Captain Peach, a huge shout out for the public safety and how we're shifting perception in the Essex community. Captain Peach especially has served on our Public Traffic Parking and Safety Committee that I chair, and every month we hear the great news of stats and data, and so the continued engagement of him and his team continues to allow us to offer public events, bring more businesses with unique awesome opportunities to build the economy in Essex moving forward. So I'm asking for your continued support and also the engagement to provide more visibility with our officers and also our local first responders. I'd like to thank you for your engagement. This work is really making a difference, including nearly 100 security cameras we install for local businesses. Thank you.
Thank you for these budget town halls. My name is Vicki Collins. I'm the president of the Land Preservation Trust, which facilitates and manages conservation easements, primarily in Northwest Baltimore County, but we also work closely with both the county and the state when they're looking to conserve lands. I don't want to take a lot of time from your constituents, but I have two requests. One, you can't immediately see the benefits of open space, but you know when it's gone. Please continue funding preservation and open space with 1% of the capital budget. It does a great deal of benefit, and as you know, you can't see it, but all of the reservoirs in the area are supplied with water that comes from the rural areas. The second is not necessarily a budget issue, but it could be. We should hold the Erdl. A developed area costs 5 times for the county to service than that of a rural area. So with that, thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Pat Hook. I'm the president of the Hawthorne Civic Association in Middle River and an active member of the PCRC for Precinct 11. I'm requesting more funding for our police department in recruiting and retaining officers for our precincts. As we all know, we have been experiencing a growing shortage of officers. Also in need are investments in a crime lab, evidence, and training facilities. I'm also requesting more funding for the Green Shirt Initiative to have more of our retired officers come back and assist in the shortage, allowing more of our full-time officers to be on the streets. Another request is to have more funding for the solid waste to have the number of bulk pickup days increased to more than 2 days a year per community. It's simply not enough. Also to have continuous annual funding available for community cleanups and dumpster days. My community was denied dumpsters this year due to lack of money, and some of our residents who have depended on it to get rid of items because of no way to get to the landfill or because of the limitations put on using the landfill before having to pay to use it. Residents are grateful that communities provide that service to them over the years, not to mention how it brings residents together for a good cause. Illegal dumping is a big problem in our communities, and the lack of funding to support these community events only exasperates the problem. Our roads, parks, shorelines are being littered with items large and small, only to have solid waste having to be used to retrieve them when they could be using their resources in other ways to keep the county clean. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Director Buckler with DPWT is up here, and she can, about the dumpsters and some other public works, if you want to loop up with her.
Good evening, County Executive Klausmeier, elected officials, and county leaders in the room. My name is Dr. Trufena Chuti, and I'm the CEO of Every Thrive. We are a non-profit organization that is serving underserved families here in the county and based in Essex. We focus on food access, economic empowerment, and youth development. First, I want to say a big thank you, County Executive, for volunteering with us during the pandemic. Your act of service during that time, the entire period, was a great deal to our team and the families that we serve. It showed that you care and you lead with your heart and hands, and you're forever a friend of Every Thrive. So at Every Thrive, we believe that food is more than just for nourishment. It's a pathway to health, dignity, and belonging. Yet, too many families in the county still struggle to access fresh, healthy, and culturally familiar food. Our mobile food pantry delivers essential traditional greens to community in need, where we meet people where they are. However, we're doing this without funding from the county. Entirely, this program depends on generous donors, all the way from DC and other jurisdictions. So we really not want to operate in this emergency generosity, but in a more sustainable way. We have tried, county executives, we still serve people from outside 5 years down the road. We don't have we have a building, but the building does not have infrastructure to support sustainable food service like cold storage. And that's what we are looking support for. And we also tried to stretch our hands to the federal government with your letters of support. We got money from the federal government, but that money was yanked out last month because it focuses on diversity. And so 2 staff members are at risk because the funding was taken. We still have 1 more funding left because we tried very hard. But even with that, we are threatened for it because we are lacking 5 acres of land which we can subdivide and give families to start their community gardens. We hope that with your support, we can renovate that building and also get access to 5 acres of land to give families to grow their own gardens and eat culturally relevant food. So thank you tonight for listening to us, and we will submit our testimony by email. Thank you.
Good evening. Ed Kreiser with North Point Peninsula Council. We represent Edgemere, Millers Island, and Fort Howard. It's good to see all my fellow citizens out here on the east side. I have some bullet points I'd just like to go over. One of them is we'd like the county to resume partnering with the state for sound walls near Trade Point Atlantic. As you know, our community is changing drastically because of the addition of Trade Point Atlantic. So the truck traffic is unbearable, and it's only going to get worse. The other one is we'd like to see some proactive code enforcement for the area. We have an important piece of property that we lost, St. Luke's Church. It's a Catholic church. It was donated to the Catholic Church by Bethlehem Steel, and now they are going out of business for that area. And the property served us as far as it was homeless meals, and it was a center for AA meetings and everything else. It was a community hub, and we would like to see that property be purchased by the county. The other one is the Shaw's Discovery property. It's the old Saperstein property. It was supposed to have been conveyed to the county. We're having trouble finding out where it's at. It's technically closed by the park system. We've brought it up before. We'd like to keep that up on the forefront and try to get that park open because it is a boat ramp to the back river. We'd like to reinstall the sidewalk along North Point Road of the Shaw's Discovery, also the Saperstein property that was removed by the county. I have one more point, buddy. And the new park that was installed at Sparrows Point, it's beautiful, but it's no access for the kids by either pedestrian or bicycle. If you look at it, you can't get there. Great if you take them by a car, but they cannot get there by bicycle. I think the county needs to look at it. Thank you.
To the county executive, to the officials here. My name is Muriel Gray, and I'm with St. Matthew's United Methodist Church. I am the chairperson for the Ministry of Kindness there, that for evictions and Baltimore gas and electric cutoff notices. As a result, Mrs. Speed is working with the Henrietta Lacks Kingdom Economic System. And as a result, I come before you tonight to ask you, we have to do something with the rent in this community, everywhere really, because the rent is outrageous. I have had February the 5th, 15 people set out, and it snowed the next day. And as a result of this happening, they had really nowhere to go or where to put their furniture and stuff. Also, on yesterday, we had 16 people set out for no rent. And some of these people regretfully have lost their jobs, but have regained a job, but they were not given enough time to catch up with their rent. No respect or, we used to help each other. It's not happening anymore. And as we're giving them a chance to if you have any situation, then I had a young lady that had a dog bite in Catonsville. By the time she got that bill sent up, her her rent up to then she went to Essex and got bit again with a dog. And she's still out, and she got evicted on February the 5th, and she's living with her daughter now in Glen Burnie. And as a result, we need to do something with this rent. This rent is too high, $1,500, $2,000. For 3-bedroom, it's $2,000. And you need 2 or 3 people in the house working in order to do this. I asked Baltimore County if we can really do something to help these people out. We are establishing a workshop for the ones that have already been set out at St. Matthew's. Our pastor is Reverend Kay Arbery, and she's working with us. She's trying to get a grant to help us out also. Also, the response team is helping us out, and housing is rehab. I have talked with them. And yesterday when I talked to Mr. Moore, he was the one that he referred me to his housing staff, and I will be talking to them tomorrow. So I asked you all, please, if you all can support us and help.
If you want to just stand right over here, and we'll have Terry Hickett talk with you.
Thank you.
Okay, he may be able to help.
I thank you very much.
Okay, he's standing right there. What can I do for you?
Nothing at all, Madam CE.
I want to take this opportunity to thank the staff that monitored the microphones and thank everyone for coming out. And I hope you got the phone number, and is it up there? The phone number if you have any other questions. And up, we have one more person.
Graduated from City Public School. 10 days later, I went in the Navy. I served 9 years on active duty. I was decorated as like a hero for the Navy and Marine Corps Medal for when that boat flipped over to Lady D and I saved all them people. After that, I started working at the Port of Baltimore. I was a 3rd-generation longshoreman, and I was medically retired because one of the new cranes got a problem and they still haven't fixed it. So I was medically retired. I'm receiving a pension at the age of 42. With SSDI said I'm not disabled. So I lost 90% of my income, and I don't understand how you can be medically retired from a 20-plus year career. OSHA has no records of the accident, and there's no records of any maintenance done to these cranes. SSDI said I'm not disabled. And I just want to know who I need to talk to get some answers about this.
Yeah, Mark Millspaw with Department of Social Services can talk about SSDI and all the different things that you just mentioned. He's right up there.
OSHA also?
He's not OSHA, but he could lead you in the right direction if we can reach out with Government Affairs, could find a contact there for you. So
right.
Mark is right over there, and well, thank you.
All right, thank you again. And if you would like to get the phone number up there and contact our offices, and if we may be of some help, please do. Thank you.